talent is not enough. On the program today, we are going to try to understand how each and every one of us can unravel and unleash our gifts, our talents, abilities to make our lives impactful and meaningful. My guest for this program has been on the show talking about a number of related subjects on a number of occasions. He is a management consultant and personal development trainer, and he has vast experience as well in market research, human capital development as well. He is author of, let me just mention two of his previous books, Money Grows on Trees and What You Don't Know is a Big Deal. His latest book, Gifts That Keep Giving, is one of the books that we're going to thrive this conversation on. My guest is Terry Mante. You're welcome, Terry. It's great to have you in the studio. The last time you were here, we were talking about...
A fellow of
Sure, why not? We will welcome such men like you who are willing to be a voice for women. Yeah. Thank you so much, Terry, for coming back onto the platform. So we're talking about talent, and I mean, this is all coming out of the fact that you come up with the latest book, Gifts That Keep Giving. Gifts, talents, what are they?
Well, a talent or a gift is a notable capacity or ability to do something. So it's the simplest definition people would normally give is that it's something you can do without learning or without thinking about. It's something you realize that you just know how to do this. That is what a talent is. That is what a gift is. And there is a story that I can share with you.
Please do.
If you would mind.
And before we go on, if you want to join the conversation as we go along, you can send us a text message or a WhatsApp message to the number 0245 780 116. The number is up on your screen, 0245 780 116. Send us a text or a WhatsApp message, and please don't call the number. Thank you. You're talking about talent, and then you wanted to link it up to a story.
The story of an 8-year-old boy called Ishan. Of course, that's not his name in real life. Okay. Ishan was a character in a movie called Like Stars on Earth. It's a 2007 movie about this boy who was the last born. They were actually two brothers, and they lived with their parents. But Ishan's academic performance was so bad. He couldn't read, he couldn't identify letters and all that. He goes to the class, they write things on the board, and the letters begin to move in his mind. They look like animated letters and all that. At the point, one time, his results came and then they were too bad, so his parents were not happy with him. So as a way of punishing him...
So this was affecting his performance?
It was affecting his performance, it was affecting his behavior at home. Because his performance was bad, his parents were not happy. And so he didn't feel loved at home and all that. They didn't treat him well. Of course, if you are paying school fees and your children are not doing well, you won't pamper the child for not doing well. So, but he had so certain imaginations in his mind that he couldn't communicate to the outside world. But there were things that he could only see in his mind. So one day he was punished, and the punishment was that he had to be sent to a boarding school. He begged and begged and begged and begged, but the father was adamant. Mother was crying because she didn't want her little boy to be shipped off.
So like that.
Yeah. So Ishan went to this school, and fortunately he met a teacher, an art teacher, who took an interest in him. And the teacher paid attention to Ishan and realized that Ishan had the gift for he knew how to paint. He loved painting and all that. So through that, he made Ishan comfortable in the class because Ishan could paint. The teacher acknowledged that what Ishan had was dyslexia. So, and he had suffered from that in his earlier life. So he helped this boy, and then he went to the principal, begged the principal not to allow Ishan to write the exam, but he was going to spend time with him to develop his competence in art, and then subsequently he will use the art to help him to learn how to identify letters and how to write and all that. To cut a long story short, eventually there was an art competition, and Ishan won the competition in the school. And now it affected his performance. He started doing well in other subjects. And Ishan, this 8-year-old, now about 9-year-old boy, became the star in the school, and he became very happy. So in his life, until up to that point, Ishan was in the world, but he sort of couldn't find himself in the world. He couldn't relate to any of the things because all the things he was being forced to learn were outside his comfort zone. They didn't connect with anything within him. And so, but the moment he found that there was a teacher who understood him and helped him to develop this natural endowment he had within him, it affected other areas of his life, and he became a fulfilled young boy. And that is what talent is about, and that is what life is about. That each one of us has a foundational competence. In the corporate world, they will say a core competence. Each one of us has that, and that is what we must develop and build our work around. Well, that's my theory anyway.
Okay. But your story speaks to one thing for me, that you can have a talent and not know you do.
Yeah. That is why I wrote the book, but I don't want to be seen to
right.
I don't want you to send me an invoice, so I'll try and stick with the subject matter. Yeah, so everybody has it, and so we need to find it. And there are several indicators that we can use to identify what our talent is. One of it is what I hinted earlier.
Is it possible that you won't have a talent? I mean, before you go on, is it possible that you won't have a talent?
I don't think that is possible. It's not possible. Everybody has a talent. Just that sometimes because of our environment, because of where we grow up, where we live, because of how we are socialized, you may think that something you do is not a talent. Because sometimes you go, as for this guy, she talks too much. As for this one, she's not serious, she's always joking. All that could be talent, making people laugh, saying nice things about people. Sometimes they will say that this person exaggerates too much. Sometimes they will tell you that as for you, unsake kanyama dodo. But everybody has a talent. And some of those things we do is an indication of our natural, how we are naturally wired to function in this world. So your inborn ability, things that are very natural. There are some people, when you wake up in the morning, they start talking. I mean, they're supposed to do something with talking. There are some other people too, they don't like talking much. So there are some people...
I think I can relate to that.
You can relate to that, okay. There are some, when you work with them and you ask them to draft a letter, like you've given them poison. They are good. You go for meeting, they'll give you all the ideas. They'll talk to you. At the moment you say, okay, so everything we've discussed, put it in a report or write a memo, then they go off. Because they don't see themselves as people who are endowed to write. It's a natural thing, but we just need to pay attention to. So that is one example. So our inborn ability. There is also what I call our individual personality. Some people are good, they want to work with people, they are energized when they are in the midst of people. There are others too, when you put them in the midst of people, that is where they begin to freeze. They are not comfortable when they are at the center of attention and all that. So once you know that you are this kind of person, you just become conscious of it and you know how to manage yourself. So there are some people who think in words, others think in pictures, others think in numbers. So if I mention a word like goat, somebody will see G-O-A-T. Somebody like me, I'll see G-O-A-T.
Well, I can see a goat, the live goat.
Somebody will see the live goat, so you are thinking in pictures. Right. Another person will not see the live goats. Another person will see barbecue or goat light soup. There is a name for it. It's escaping. Goat light soup. Oh, there's this look. There's another name we give to it, Mpusu or something. Somebody will see that. Somebody will see the barbecue. So it's because of how we are wired to think, how we are naturally wired. So if somebody thinks in pictures, you are trying to teach this person how to spell goats without providing the picture of a goat, you will spend all the time teaching the person G-O-A-T is goat. They will learn it. The next time when you ask them, what is this? They don't know. So they can't relate, they can't associate it with anything. So we are all different people. So that is one example. And then there is our natural passion. When I'm watching the news, when I sit at 7 p.m. and it's time for the prime news, the GBC major news bulletin, and they give the headlines, there are certain aspects of the news that I will be more interested in than other ones. I don't want to tell you the ones I'm not interested in because I don't want to be in trouble. Let me see. Okay, I won't say it.
Okay.
But there are some aspects of the news that I'll be interested in, others I'm not interested in because of my natural passion. I didn't plan that I'll be interested in this or I will not be interested in that. So sometimes you sit down and ask for today, the news is boring, especially the weekend ones. But there are some other people who sit there and say, oh, okay, it's good. Oh, so it's because of passion. That is an example. And then our experiences also help us to acquire certain capabilities along the way. So that also contributes to things we are able to do. And then being a Christian too, there is something that I like to call imparted capability. There are some things that you've not trained for it, but you also know that it really wasn't part of your life from the beginning. But somehow, at a point in your life, you discover that you are doing that thing so well with that much learning, with that much effort and all that. In Christian circles, they will call it anointing. But I like to call it imparted capability. It's something that sometimes God gives to you, and it helps to deal with the weaknesses in all the other things I talked about. So what you were born with, your passion, your experiences. When I talk about experiences, I'm talking about things you've gone through in life. I'm also talking about things you've gone to school to learn. They all contribute to that. So when you put all those things together, they will still have some holes. They will not be perfect. So this other aspect that I call imparted capability, God gives that also to you, and then it helps to balance everything out. So if you pay attention to some of these things, so things you can do naturally, things you are passionate about. Passion is defined by interest, by your emotion, by sacrifice. What you want to sacrifice for, things you are interested in, and then things that arouse your interest more or less. So that's what it is. So once you've combined all of these things, just pay attention and you put all of them together, it will give you an idea of what your talent is.
So these are the ways in which we can identify our talents.
Yeah.
So what are we supposed to be doing with our talents?
Well, number one, you embrace your talent. So once you discover it, you have to embrace it. You have to accept it. It's yours. You have to own it. This is what I have. Because there are some people who discover something, but they don't fully embrace the capability of that, what it can do. They rather admire what others are doing. So if I see Selike reading the news on TV and I say, oh, I like the way this lady speaks the English, I'm also going to read the news. But I'll go and sit there. So I look at the script, I read the first line, I look at the camera. By the time I come back, I can't see where I am. And the whole nation is watching me. You understand? so it's not
that could happen to anybody, by the way.
To anybody. But some of you, when it happens to you, you're able to deal with it and we don't even notice it. But it was just an example like it. But I'm just saying that you must accept it as yours. You must own it. You must accept it. You must identify. You must recognize it. That's the first thing you must do.
Must you not be empowered to be able to accept it? Because then there is fear and there is lack of confidence.
Yes, so you must be empowered. So I don't know who should do the empowerment. If you are not lucky enough to be in an environment that empowers you, then you are in a lot of trouble. So I usually encourage people to be responsible for their own personal development, to be responsible. Because sometimes even when people are encouraging you or empowering you, and you yourself, you are not encouraged by us, no matter the external encouragement, you will never be empowered enough to do what you have to do. It is just like having a cell phone. You have a cell phone, but maybe you happen to be in an area where there is no reception. It doesn't mean the entire network is down. You are just in an area where there is no reception. Your phone is on, your battery is fully charged, you have credit, you have airtime on your phone. But people will try and call you, they will never have access to you. That is what happens when you depend on external forces for your encouragement. If the phone doesn't have connection, no matter how many times people call, the phone will never be able to receive the call. So if you yourself are also not able to accept something and want to do something with it, no matter what people tell you, no matter what I sit on this program to say, it's not going to benefit you. But somehow you must identify it, you must accept it, you must embrace it. And then after that, you can do other things with it. So you can develop it, you can polish it, educate yourself to enhance what you do, and on and on and on and on. Then you practice with it and you serve others with it, and eventually, hopefully, it begins to make an impact.
So you're talking about the importance of self-awareness of the talent in itself.
Yes, extremely important.
And then acceptance.
Acceptance, yes. So that's where it starts from. So self-awareness, being conscious of yourself. Like the story I told you about Ishan. Ishan somehow was aware of himself, just that he couldn't express it. But he was the only one who knew what was in his mind, who knew what he felt, and nobody understood him. So for the people who depend on other people, people will not understand you as well as you will understand yourself. So sometimes people will say certain things to affirm what you already know about yourself. It's just a confirmation of what you already know. So sometimes you may have to get feedback from other people and all that, just to see if what you feel or what you see about yourself is what they also see. But eventually, ultimately, it is up to you. It is up to what you think about what you have. That is what really makes the difference.
Right. So you talked about developing your talents. How do you do that?
Oh, it depends on what the talent is, but you have to. You have to engage the talent. You have to engage the talent. So you organize your life around this. I am primarily an author, and that is how I live. I live as an author. So an author, my primary tool is words. I need to use words to express ideas. Sometimes very complex ideas, but I have to break it down in ways that people will be able to understand. So what will I do as an author? So normally I spend a lot of time reading.
Right.
I read a lot because I need to learn new words. I need to know the new ideas that are coming up. When I'm watching a movie, I'm looking at how, I don't just watch the movie for entertainment. I'm looking at what the storyline, what is the plot, and how is the writer or the producer or the director communicate? What are they communicating? And how are they communicating? What are the tools, the literary devices they are using? So when you see me watching a movie or a series, yes, I like the entertainment part, but I'm also learning how they are communicating the ideas the movie has. Just as I use the story of Ishan. So that is how I do that. So I'm listening to people talk, I'm looking at people do presentation, I'm watching what words they are using. So you organize your life around it. So whatever the gift or whatever the talent is, whatever you think it is, the first thing you do is that you have to make sure that you are adding value to it. You are practicing, you are learning more about it. You are looking out for people who have similar gifts or similar abilities, who perform in the same industry as you do. When I'm reading a book, I'm looking at the writing style of the author. So are they using technical language? How are they communicating? Are they using stories? How are they using humor? So I'm looking at all of that. How are they using dialogue to communicate whatever they have? So for each one of us, we need to do that. We need to organize our lives around what we think is our talent. And then after, of course, you can't keep learning and learning and learning. You have to also work with it. So you exercise it, you practice it. So you embrace it, that's by accepting it. You engage the gifts by just working it out, polishing it, enhancing its value. And then you also exercise it by putting it to work. So you put it at the disposal of people around you just to get some feedback. And sometimes you have to use it for yourself as well.
You know, Terry, coming to that point of putting it to people around you can take so long.
Yeah.
Because of how people around us criticize us. It may not necessarily come from an environment where we are encouraged to come out with what we have.
Yeah.
You're even coming from a family where as soon as you start talking about this, your passion or your talent, people start giggling or they start laughing or they start shunning you. Is that so critical? Showing off your talent to the...
I started by talking about embracing it. And then, of course, one of the realities of life is that not everybody will accept what, no matter how good it is. So maybe initially, one of the things you do is that once you realize that these people will laugh at me, those are not the people you will show it to. You look for people who say something. Let me give you an example.
Right.
When I wrote my first book when I was at the university, so I did an initial draft of the book, and I went to show it to somebody to have a look at it for me, and give me some endorsement before I even think about publishing it. So the person looks at it and says, "Terry, if this book had been written by somebody in secondary school," by then I was in third year at the University of Ghana. The person said, "If this book had been written by somebody in the senior high school or secondary school, I would have said it's a good book. And for a university person like you, I don't think this book is good enough." So I was
you never forgot it.
I didn't forget. I didn't forget. How can you forget this? This was a pastor. God. I took it in. I was a bit disappointed, but I also took it in good faith. So I went back. It took another year or so. I reworked and reworked and reworked and reworked. I did a lot of work on it. Just that this time around, when I was finally ready to publish, I didn't go to the same person. So I didn't go to the same person.
But you took the critique in good faith.
Yeah, I took it in good faith. And that was because I had embraced what I thought my gift was. So, so I took it, I tried to improve it. And then later on, I met somebody else who told me that, well, because I was a bit apprehensive about bringing it out and all that, I wanted to be sure that the book comes out and it's a good book. So this person told me that, Terry, books are always revised. So I think what you have is good enough. So just release it. If later we think it's no good, we can always review and do a revised edition. So that was what gave me the confidence to go ahead and release that very first book. While I was still at the university, by the time I was almost ending my final year, I was able to get that book out. So people will criticize you. People are good. There are some others who will also encourage you. You just have to listen to both and work on it.
You know, you mentioned that you need to show your work or your talent or display whatever you
eventually, yes.
Why do you have to do that? Why is that important
because
in grooming it?
If you are using it only for yourself, it doesn't benefit you. And the true test of a talent or of a gift or of a skill is the impact or is a contribution it makes in other people's life. It's a problem it solves for other people. So if I'm using my gift or my talent to solve a problem for other people and they feel that it is not solving their problem, then what am I doing? Then I don't even benefit from it. And earlier when you were doing the introduction, you hinted about commercialization. If they think you ain't good enough, then nobody is going to pay any attention to you. So it's important that, and it's not really given to you for you alone, by the way. But it's given to you so that you make a contribution to the world, to the world we live in, to the society we live in. So, and it's for people. It's not just for you.
Right. My next question is, what do you do when you have multiple talents? But after the break. This is Women's Voice. Today on the program, we're talking about maximizing your talents, and we have author and management consultant in the studio, Terry Mante, also author of the book, including the latest one, Gifts That Keep Giving. And we've been talking about how to identify your talent and how to develop it. We'll move on to other aspects of maximizing your talents. This is Women's Voice. We'll take a short break. When we return, the program will continue. Do stay with us. Welcome back. This is Women's Voice. Today on the program, we are looking at maximizing your talents. With me in the studio is author and management consultant, personal development trainer, Terry Mante. Terry, so I was talking about somebody who has multiple talents. How do you identify which one you should probably use, which one you should not? I mean, how do you say you have 4 or 3 talents?
You're supposed to use all. You're supposed to use all, but then
supposed to use all.
You're supposed to use all. I believe that, but you have to do it in a strategic manner. In a strategic manner. So it depends on the opportunities you find around you, and sometimes you if you look closely, they may all be connected in a certain way. So you have to create a certain connection among all of them, and start with a particular one. Then the others become complementary to what you are doing. So for me, for instance, as an author, I'm an author, but it's not everything that I can write about. So the fact that I have writing skills doesn't mean I can write about everything. But there are other things I'm interested in. So I bring all those things into the things I write. So I'm interested in business, I'm interested in politics, I'm interested in some social issues, not all. So if you read some of the books I have, a lot of my examples I use political examples, I I'm interested a lot in biblical stuff as well. So I mix all these things in what I do. So I use biblical examples. Am I a pastor? Nope, not yet. Or no, I don't know. I don't know. So you look at what is common, and then you can play different roles. One of the things even if it is one talent, you can apply them in multiple ways. So I know that people tend to get confused about what to do and what not to. That's why I said they have to do it with strategy. You must find something, one of it, which you are most comfortable with, and organize around all the others. So let's say that if you are a medical doctor and you think you are a very humorous person, you also like talking a lot. So should you go and be a public speaker? Some medical doctors are. So you can put all these things together. So when patients come to you, and let's say you have a bit of humor, should you go and do stand-up comedy? Not exactly, but in your consulting room, you can use your gifts of humor to lighten the environment and to help the patients to have a merry heart. I'm sure the Bible says a merry heart is like good medicine. One of my friends thinks that at the time that person wrote that part, he had not eaten. Because if he had eaten, he wouldn't have said that. Because he thinks food is better than just being. Anyway, that was just by the way.
Right.
So you can relate it to all that, but it depends on how it is. So the environment you find yourself will also determine which parts of your time, because the opportunities available will determine what you should do. But then you can find one of them and then organize the others around it. Use them as complementary skills or abilities.
So we've talked a lot about talent and their power and ability to develop it into other things, but we keep hearing the fact that talent is not enough.
Yeah.
Why?
It's not enough.
Why?
Well, there are so many people who use their talents and they don't go anywhere. So talent by itself is not enough. And I talked about the fact that we must work on the talent. So with the talent, you have to have diligence, because having the talent doesn't mean that it will work by itself naturally. You have to work the talent. So you have to spend time, whether you have to study or you have to practice, whatever the talent, you have to spend time. You have to talk to people and learn more. So definitely having the talent by itself is not enough. I'm trying to look for something to read from the book for you, so you really get it. But having the talent definitely by itself is not really enough. There are so many things you need to do to help the talent. The only thing is that if you don't find the talent, then all the other things you do become very laborious. So when you have to wake up on Monday morning, that's you. Because it's not really, you don't really find harmony in what you are doing. So there is something I wrote in this book, and I was talking about, I said, what you have is not as important as how you deploy it. It is not enough to have a gift or to have a talent. It is certainly not enough to use your gift. So even in the book, I'm saying that, and I'm saying that movement is not always a signal for progress. Activity is not an indicator of productivity. So strategy reinforces your gift. If you anchor the deployment of your gift with a well thought through strategy, the relevance and acceptability in the marketplace will be assured. So there has to be a lot of thinking, there has to be a lot of strategy. That goes into how you use your talent.
Can you do this all by yourself?
Do it all by yourself. But if there is nobody to help you, then you have to do what you can do all by yourself. But sometimes we spend too much time waiting for people to come and help us, and the people are not there. You know, the Bible says that God looks at the heart, man looks at the outward appearance. And so if people don't see you do something, they will not help you, because they don't see that you are not appearing as somebody who can be helped, or who can be helped. So you have to do what you can do, at least up to the point that you can, and hope that somebody will come along to help you with what you can't do by yourself. But there is always something you can do by yourself. But definitely you can't do everything by yourself.
How much effort, for instance, should you put in identifying people within your field, the field where your talent is?
It has to be deliberately done. You have to do that deliberately. So you look out for the people. So these days, social media helps us to find people easy. So sometimes you can follow some of these people on social media. There are so many people who I interact with. I've never seen them before. Just talk on social media. So I found this program on social media, or I found you on social media. So social media helps a lot. That's one way. But you have to go out of your way to look for people who you think will be of use to you. So do a lot of research. You go to places where they are. So if you see a program on social media, you know that this person will be there. You have to try and be there. Sometimes you won't even get to talk to them, but you just go and watch them, see them perform, see them at work, and then you can pick one or two. So the day you get a chance to meet them, oh, the last time I saw you here and I like this aspect that you did. So they also take an, oh, okay, so this person has taken an interest in my work. So whatever you need to, it helps to establish that connection, and then things begin to work for you too. But you don't just sit and hope that you'll be found. Sometimes you have to look for the people. Sometimes you have to position yourself in a way that you want to be found.
You're trying to say mentoring is key.
Mentoring is key. Very important.
How do you position yourself as a mentee, for instance? That's where a lot of young people
I'll give you an example.
Become lost.
I'll give you some examples.
Yes.
So follow the people on social media. Find out what they are posting, where they are going, things they are talking about, and all that. Another thing, find out where they are. They go and go there. Sometimes you see, oh, I'm going to watch this football match. You don't like the football match, but you are interested in the person. You can decide to go. And find them at wherever they say they are going. People put some of these things on social media. So you look for them, and then when you meet the people, you don't just go with your plates asking for something.
So how do you do it?
So you must go with something to offer, or you must go with something to offer. You must show interest in what the person does. You must go to the person and just tell them, oh, I like what you are doing, I admire what you are doing, and then is there anything that you need? You can volunteer services for the people. Some of the people, you see, they need a lot of help. So you can volunteer services. You can ask them if they have any problem that they need you to help them. Sometimes you don't have a solution, but you just confidently. So I've been following your work a lot, and I like what you are doing. Do you have any problem I can solve for you? That question, it's a bold question. That question will make anybody pay attention to you. Oh, please, no, please, I am writing this book, and I want you to help me. If you come to me like that. Because I meet a lot of people like that all the time. I'm writing this book, and I want you to edit it. I charge for that anyway. So yeah, look, I should sit down and be reading. Then what time will I get to? You understand? So you have to go with some. I haven't seen you anywhere before. I haven't met you before. And then the first thing you do is I should send you a copy of my new book, a complimentary copy of my new book. I won't send that. You use air to. Sorry, but the people have to know how to engage people. People want. Everybody.
That's why I was asking about that particular thing, because that's a gray area where you're not really. These are not part of our curriculum.
It's not part of it.
So people don't know how to maneuver those areas.
But the point is that it's not part of our curriculum in school. But even in school, there are so many things that go on. But for me, one thing that has really helped me is that it's this self-awareness. So you are very conscious to the things that are happening within you, the ideas that are coming to you, and then you embrace them, and then you take the steps. So at some point you realize, I have to do this, I have to do that. And nobody will teach you. Let me give you an example. All the schools I went to government schools throughout.
Right.
So when I say government school, I'm just trying to be polished.
You don't want to say Saito.
I don't want to say Saito. So I went to a school where all we speak in the school is tree. Like everybody, hey, mommy, Katia, you know those things we do in school. That's how we speak. Then I went, all of them from primary school to JH, even to secondary school. I went to a very good secondary school. And even there was a boys' school. It's either pigeon or tree that we use of ourselves. So how would I learn how to speak English? So at the point, I just told myself that I am not going to talk to anybody in this school. Right from the time I went to secondary school. Even before I left secondary school, when I left junior high school. So when you ask me a question in tree, I respond in English. Because where I'm coming from, at home we are speaking tree. In school too, I should come and speak tree. And I used to be in a tree-speaking church at the time too. So I just said, but I want to be able to speak English, to communicate in English. And I see these people on TV, they are rattling there. I want to be like that. So I am going to practice it. Whether the grammar is good or bad, I'm going to practice it. So there are people today who still think I don't speak tree, but I speak tree very well. But because I had to learn how to...
you made that decision not to.
I didn't learn it from anywhere, but it was because I was paying attention to some of the things I had within me. So I said, okay, I want to be a respected economist. I want to be a so I have to try and speak like very fluent pidgin. So what do I do? So I said, okay, I'm going to speak English. So you speak to me in tree. Oh, Terry, it is saying, oh, I'm fine. Oh, Terry, when I saw her go around the corner. That's how it was. So, and this is where we are.
Can you be talented and yet be very poor?
Yes.
And why?
Yes. I think I'm very talented, but I don't think I'm rich. I don't want to say I'm poor. It's a negative confession.
Right.
But you can be very talented and be very poor. Because making money is another thing altogether.
How do you
it's
then
turn
that talent into something that's economically viable as a venture?
At some point, you yourself, you have to give value to what you are, to the thing you are doing. Nobody will give it, but that's one of the things I've had to do. Put value on what you are doing. After you have identified the talent, you have worked on it, and you've tested it, and worked and tested and worked and tested and all that. So one day when somebody says, I want you to do this for me, say, oh, I'm saying dear, these days when I do it, I charge. But because it is you, I'm going to give you a discount. What you are calling discount is really your price. But because it is you give me that. So you start that gradually. And I've used the story of David in this book.
Right.
David was a young shepherd boy in ancient Israel, or in biblical Israel. That is Israel as described in the Bible. And David used to take care of his father's sheep in the wilderness. And in the wilderness, he used to fight all kinds of predators who attempted to attack the sheep. So he deals with lions, he deals with bears, he deals with all kinds of things in the wilderness, all by himself alone. So one day there is a national crisis. And then David shows up and he says that, I can kill Goliath. But he asks a question, what shall be done for the one who kills Goliath? When he was doing it in the wilderness for his family or for his father, he didn't say, what shall be done for me? But at some point, when he was sure that this thing that I've used to kill lions and I've used to kill all these people, now there is an opportunity to harness what I've done. He said, what shall be done? And then they told him that, okay, we are going to give you a wife. The family will have tax exemptions. And then there were 3 things. I've forgotten the third one. But he had to place a value on it. I'm sure if they had told him that nothing will be done, he would have said, okay, let me go back to my father's sheep. But at that point, he came and asked, what is in it for me? What am I going to get?
So you're saying that we should be trying to find out the kind of value that is placed on our talents.
Yeah. So after you've done any work and you know it solves problems for people, so you like that. So some of their vehicles you have to create, so you may have to set up a business so that people will know that you are doing business. You don't just go as Terry Mante. If there's like, so you can register a sole proprietorship, do some nice complimentary card. But let people know that this is the business you are doing now. So when you are asked for it, okay, so this is what you, all right, so I'll send you an email. And you send an email, probably that's your invoice. And then you negotiate, of course. But you have to professionalize it all by yourself. Nobody is going to do it for you. People are looking for free things. So you have to decide that this investment I have made into developing my talent, I need to harness it in such a way that I can even do more. Otherwise, it's not going to become a gift that will keep giving, because you are going to be hungry, you will not have money, you can't do anything. And so it gets to a point when people even ask you to do some of this, you can't do it because you don't even have the means to do what they're asking you to do. So yes, you've got to do it yourself. At some point, you realize that no, I have to place a value on this thing that I'm doing.
So where does branding come in?
So that is where branding comes in. So you begin to package and branding. So you have to have a vision for what you want to do with the gifts you have now developed. You have to identify the kind of problem it will solve, and then you have to make a determination that you're going to maximize the potential of what you have. So branding starts by carving a vision for the brand for the gift that you have. And then you must have your values as well. Values are simply your priorities and your philosophy. So what you consider important in relation to the gift. So if I am reading a book or I'm doing something related to my gift and you ask me to go and do something that is totally unrelated, you are likely to get a no response from me, because it is going to affect what I do. So let's say somebody who is a college professor, a professor in the university. That person has to pay a lot of attention to research. That person has to subscribe to all kinds of journals around the world in the field that they say they are professing, so that they will always be on top of their game. If you are an athlete also has to have a set of values that will ensure that they are always fit and they are in good shape for what they do. As an author, I have to be sure that I'm getting ideas to write about and all that. So that it starts from there. So it starts from having a vision for what you do. Then you identify the values that you need. And then the third one would be what I call verve. Verve would be the capabilities and your conduct, what you can do and what you actually do. So things that you give your energies to, things that you spend time on. So there are certain things you shouldn't do just because of your brand. So it's very important what you do. So your vision, your values, what you do, that is what really how you build your brand. And then of course you also move on to what I call voices. That would be rumors and reports. So what people say about you is very important. At some point what people say becomes very important. So you have the vision, you have the values, but eventually people will see your vision and your values by what you do. That's what I call verb. So when they see you doing this, okay, so this is what the person does. And then next will be, so after they encounter you, you must give people good service. You must solve the problem, the things that you say you can do, you must be able to do them. Make sure people have a good experience with you. And in marketing, they will say that word of mouth communication is even better than any form of advertisement you will do. So you have to really do that and make sure that you are controlling, or you are deliberate about what you want people to say about you. But what you want them to say about you must be in line with what is actually your vision, what your values are, and then what you are really doing. And then the last one will be what we call the visibility, or physical evidence, physical presence, how people. So that's where that is what people would normally call branding. So your colors and your logos and all these things, that slogans and all of that, but they are all connected. Yeah.
Right. So in this age of social media,
yeah,
we need to learn how to use the social media, for instance, to market what we are doing, showcase what we are doing. It's important.
Very important. Your social media page is your office, it's your shop, it's your classroom, it's so many things. So if you have a followership of about 5,000 people, that's your market. You have all these people you can communicate with all the time. It's like having a store and 5,000 people are coming in and going out every day. So that's your market. So you position yourself according to how you want to identify with the people who are following or who you are connected with on social media. So yeah, that's it. And probably I should say that one of the key things about gifts and talent, it is also connected to our purpose in life as individuals. And that is why I was not born in 1925. Or maybe I think that's why I was not born in 1925. So maybe if I was born at that time, I don't even know how I would sell my books, because I use social media a lot to do somewhere, because at that time I was doing social media. So sometimes the timing, the environment we find ourselves in is also very helpful. So we need to be able to use the social media very, very, very well.
Right. This one says, hello, my name is Sheena from Taifa. How can someone discover their talents? I am a Nigerian guy. I think we've talked about
We've talked about that.
We've
talked about that.
And this one says, I think I've embraced my talent. I studied history and religion in school, but today it is my passion for cooking which is earning me a living. It's got nothing to do with religion or history. I'm happy I embraced my love for cooking. That's coming from Na Kloko. There. This one says, hi, Voice of Women. I watched the film featuring Imran. It was touching and sympathetic. I learned from the film that success is not measured by what you think or what others think you can do or cannot do, but what you influence your talents and gifts with. Never condemn people until they are tried and tested. Life is a journey. Keep moving until you discover your God-given talent. Maximizing your talents is crucial for a worthwhile living. Good afternoon. That is from Christian inside Tayman Boga Town. Thank you very much for that long one. This one says, good evening. My name is Florence from La Paz. I'm enjoying today's topic. I love hairdo, and I'm able to fix whichever hair. It's my talent. Unfortunately, my senior doesn't support the idea. It's all because I am a graduate. She wants me to work at the office. So how do you address this one? Your senior or your sister? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
but this is somebody important too.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that, now there are people who work in the office who are very miserable. And somehow, if she's a graduate, whatever she's learned in school can influence what she does as a hairdresser. These days, they don't even like to be called hairdressers. They say they are beauticians. As a hairdresser, because now you've gone to school, you've been exposed. When you have a first degree, it gives you a certain framework for thinking. So this hairdo that if you're going to be a hairdresser, your style will not be like what the one who didn't go to school would. So the way you're packaging your brand, we are talking about branding, how you communicate with your clients. You can position yourself in such a way that you will deal with certain high-end people in society. So I don't think that whoever will be doing I don't want to mention anybody's position, but some influential people in the world, they all do their hair. And they all do their hair, and they don't go for people who are by the wayside to do their hair for them. So that's the essence of education. She can channel the education she has to affect what she does or what she wants to do as a hairdresser.
And then how do you get over having people around you who do not support your pursuing your talents?
Sometimes you just have to be stubborn and do it. Eventually, when you do it, those same people are going to, oh, we always knew you would do well. We always knew you would do well. So sometimes you just have to be stubborn. And it's a tough journey. It's a difficult journey. I'm not saying it as if it is easy. It's not easy. But deep within you, you know that this is what makes you fulfilled. So you work it out. Eventually, the results you achieve will vindicate you. So sometimes you just have to be stubborn. Like I said, if these people don't believe in you so much, you don't talk to them about what you want to do in that particular area. Just keep to yourself and work on it gradually. And work on. So the lady who says she does hair, she can probably start looking at doing stuff for some of her friends who may be getting married. Oh, well, let me do your hair for you. And gradually she builds her business. It's possible. But again, normally we like to talk as if when we're encouraging people, we say it as if it's very easy. I can tell you that it is not very easy. It's not that easy. But if that is what gives you the fulfillment, then you better do it, because you will be 60 years and you'll be looking back and say, I always wanted to do this. You will regret. But if you invest about 10 years of your life to build something that gives you fulfillment, it's worth it.
This one says, hello, your guest is good. I'm a scientist turned fine artist, sculptor to be specific. I have an idea for your guest for his next book. Can we link up? That's Kwame in Tema. So let's talk about your new book, what it's about, briefly before we go. And then where
you made me say a lot of things in the book, but I think it's a book. I call it Gifts That Keep Giving, because everybody has a gift that will keep giving to them if we work on that gift. And that's the inspiration behind the title. The subtitle says, find your place, own your space, and run your race. Find your place, own your space, and run your race. So you find it, you own it, and you run. That's what this book is. In fact, initially, those were the headings for all the chapters, but I decided to change it. So it's a book that I think all of us need it. And for companies that are planning to give hampers to their staff and to their clients, maybe they can look at it and consider adding this book as well. I think it's about time we decided as a country to pay a lot of attention to human capital development, so that when you give somebody, one time I went to Cote d'Ivoire, I gave somebody one of the books, and the way the person, I was so surprised, and the person was so happy as if I had given them gold. And I said, hey, this was Cote d'Ivoire, but I said, but in Ghana, we have these things in abundance, and people don't cherish it as we think they should. But I think that we have to look at it, and then so this is it's a very simple book, just 66 pages, only 4 chapters, and the chapter 1 talks about something inside so strong. So where I make a case for what's really a talent and how important it is. And let me just say this: once I was on an interview panel,
right?
And because it's a story I just remember, I was on an interview panel, and there we got the CVs of all these people, and there was a particular lady. We looked at her CV, and we all thought that this person should get the job, because the CV on paper she looked good for the role we're hiring for. Right. And then this lady comes, and all she wanted to talk about was that mother is sick, so she cannot work, and I have younger siblings, so I need a job so that I can take care of them. We try to help her. When she does that, we pretend we've not heard. We ask her another question. So that's why I have come to get a job, so that I will be able to take care of my younger siblings and my mother, and also go back to school. She never said anything in relation to the job we're hiring for. As much as we empathize with her, we were also not running a welfare. We're not running a welfare scheme. We're there to hire somebody or to recommend somebody to the organization, somebody who could solve a problem with the organization. So unfortunately, we couldn't hire her. But I'm also aware of other situations where people, and I've actually been on another panel like that, where we're hiring for a particular position. Somebody came for the interview. We realized that the person had skills which were not suited for the role we were hiring for. But the skills that the person showcased could be needed in another part of the company. So we actually had to decide that we're going to create a position for this person to occupy. And I've heard a lot of stories like that.
This one says, good evening, thank you for your answers to the questions being asked. But my question is, does everyone has talent or not? I think you answered that.
Everyone has a talent.
If yes, can someone have a talent, but due to bad character, his or her talent can go to waste? That's from Bannon in East Lagos.
I think the answer is in the question. Of course, it's to go to waste if your character is bad.
Right. We have to wrap up now. Okay. So your final words, and then any message you have for your readers before we go.
You won't bring me a new book for what I'm about to do. So this is a new book I've done. That will be my final word. Gifts That Keep Giving.
Right.
It's actually not out yet, but we are releasing this book on the 20th of November. That is just next week. And so the way we are, normally when I have a new book, I do a launch and people come and know that. But over the years, I've seen that strategy is not too good. because you limit it to only people in Accra and all that. So now I'm leveraging technology to do this. So you can order this book from wherever you are in Ghana, across the country. You can order this book, and on the 20th of November, our courier said we have a network of courier agencies all over the country. They are going to have this book delivered to you. The number to call to order, there is a number to call to order. It's 024-982-7575. 024-982-7575. Or you can just look for me on social media and send me a message, and we are going to respond to you.
Thank you so much, Terry, for being on the platform. Unfortunately, those of you who are sending us messages, your messages are late. You didn't start sending. You only start sending the messages when I start reading them. You should send them earlier. But Kwame comes again. But Kwame, I guess I'll just link you up to Terry after the show, and then you can continue the conversation there. He's the one who talked about the idea for your next book.
That's fine.
And this one finally says, I wish you were around more, Mr. Terry. So, yeah, that's another invitation to come back on our show. Terry, thank you so much for being on the platform and educating us about
the
things
for having me,
we need to know. I'll end in the words of Leo Busgaklia, an author, and he says that your talent is God's gift to you. What you do with it is your gift back to God, unquote. My name is Salike Wakola Shapalu. Thank you so much for tuning in. Terry Mante has been my guest. He's an author and a management consultant as well. Thank you to the entire team, John Amema, for assisting in the production, the graphics designer, the makeup artist, the cameraman, the technician, and everybody else involved in the production. We'll be back to do it again tomorrow.
It's about exposing the vulnerabilities women face.
You have to go to an occasion and people will be like, okay, look at this scary lady coming up. And it was so devastating for me at that time. And I just feel like, okay, if this is how the situation is going to be, then I have to accept myself. I have to embrace what I am.
It's about being ready to speak out for our own rights.
If you see a nice girl, then the assumption is that she enticed the man. What was she wearing? My dear, it does not matter what a young girl is wearing. It is not enough grounds for you to rape the girl.
We are always striving to reach the top, no matter what.
Every woman must know that. Then, that strength that can put over every hurdle. And that strength will actually encourage you to do more than you think.